All right, welcome back to Burn the Ship podcast, where we highlight the stories of entrepreneurs who built up the courage to go all in on their ideas. I'm your host today, Christian Brown, and today I'm welcomed by Dave Walens. And today we'll talk about what it's like for an entrepreneur who has reached the finish line of their journey, if you will, built and sold a company, and now is focused fully on giving back. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing great, and what a great honor to be with you today, man.
Likewise, likewise. And so, for those who may not know you, tell the audience your story. Who is Dave Walens?
Sure, I'll be glad to. I'll give you the shortest version I can with a 42-year career. But actually, started my journey back when I was 21 years old. Went to Kennesaw State for 3 weeks, dropped out because it was so great, and wound up starting my own company. And then started that bootstrapping it, built it up, and started growing that company. And over the course of about 10 years, I was in the trade show and event industry. And along came a vendor that I felt was a great opportunity to buy that company. I wound up acquiring them and scaling that business and got into flooring across the country, fabrication and graphics, scaled the business to a very nice size, about 225 employees, and then exited the company at the end of 24.
Amazing. No, that's so good. And so, looking back, what was the biggest turning point for you in building your business?
You know, Christian, every step was a new turning point, to be honest with you. And, really putting myself out there and taking some risks to grow the business. When you go from zero to a million, you've got all sorts of challenges. From a million to 5 million, you got a whole new set of challenges. From 5 to 20, a whole nother set of
Yeah.
challenges. And I'd say the most important thing I learned everywhere along the way, tried to read up and gain knowledge and experience everywhere I was at that point in time, and learn from my failures and just continue to battle till I actually achieve the goal. So it's really a great lesson in learning at every level.
Yeah, that's good. And when you look back on those different levels and different lessons, what would you say are some of the hardest lessons that you learned throughout your career?
Probably the hardest lesson was how to manage people. Once the business got large enough that we started adding, and I started adding employees, and trying to motivate and grow a company because of the talent that you have around you. A very challenging thing to do, especially when you lack the resources, financial resources to pay the top level. You really got to bring out the most in everybody that you're dealing with and help set that vision and support them in the right way. And so I had a lot of employees, made a lot of mistakes along the way, learned a lot along the way, but it was probably the number one area that I had to learn.
The people. Yeah, that's so good. And so, after building and then selling your company, why did giving back become such an important part of the chapter you're in now?
It's just a very important piece to my DNA. I think I've always given back. I kind of look at the fact that the first employee was a bit of a payback. That you're responsible for families, and I always had the vision, even when I was young, that this journey wasn't just about me. It was about who I brought along with me, and that I couldn't do it on my own. I needed a team of people dedicated to do it. So that journey, culminated when I finally exited, that I just wanted to keep that up and enjoy the fact of paying it forward. There's probably no more satisfaction in my life than to pay it forward. Way more important than making money was is learning how to help others and give it away.
Yeah, yeah, and I find that really interesting about you. And you told me many times that you felt like part of your purpose in building your business was to help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just extremely important to me. And look, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it on my own, and I needed people to trust and follow the vision that I had. And if they did, then we'd have a great outcome, and we could build something special and unique. And so it was always relying on others, and I just realized the value of that. And I would also say that it was the absence of that I didn't have the mentors and people paying it forward to me, that I had to work extremely hard. Back in 1983 when I started, there was no mentorship that I had. I just really did it on my own. So I know the value of having that support, and that was extremely important to me, and I wanted to bring that to others.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now in this next season of your life, you're doing a lot within um, Kennesaw State University. So, what role has Kennesaw State University played in your life? You spoke about how you went to the university for 3 weeks, but what role has it played in, let's say, your life and career so far?
Yeah, so I'll take you back in time because in the 1980 it was a junior college,
Mm.
and I've seen the evolution growing up here in Cobb County, seeing Kennesaw really build and grow and scale into a great university, and that's pretty exciting. So seeing that evolution is kind of the first step. The second step is I was involved with KSU on a few levels, supporting some of their areas with some of our products and services. And then I got wind of the Entrepreneurship Center back about 8 years ago. And I will tell you that if there was an Entrepreneurship Center when I was going to college, I would have graduated. And it just really set an interesting fire underneath me and thought about what it could do to transform students. And that's what got me really excited about KSU and was on their very first advisory board that they put together. And obviously, where our paths had crossed, and it's exciting because I've seen it change so many lives by teaching really kids how to think more so than skill set, mindset over skill set, and that really gave them confidence to go do things they never thought they could do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would say it taught kids students how to think, but also how to speak, how to network. You know, because when you're around 40,000 of your peers, now 50,000, you know, it's really a lesson in just how to build relationships, how to nurture relationships, and just how to communicate overall with your peers and also with your I want to say elders, but those who kind of have way more wisdom than you that can one day become mentors. All right, so
That's a great point, Christian. And I think I see that as putting people in uncomfortable positions and
mm,
making them do the things that will make you great. And communication is just such a critical part of being a great entrepreneur. Is you got to be able to talk and get around people and do well in big crowds and network and all that. And frankly, that's what you just shared, and that really comes to building confidence in people. I call that
mm,
mindset, but the mindset is really taking the initiative and having the courage to go out there and do it.
mm.
And then from there, you go do it and you experience it. And when you experience it, that's when you really start to learn.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And so, for those who may not know, a couple of months ago, you received an honorary degree from Kennesaw State University. So, what did that mean for you to have that honor?
I appreciate you bringing it up. It's
Yeah.
probably the one of my biggest honors of a lifetime. The
Yeah.
honorary doctorate really meant a lot. At first, I had a lot of trouble accepting the fact that I'm getting a doctorate, but when I really look back and I started to think about it and really learn from others, I realized that that 42-year career has earned that doctorate, I guess, in the things that I've done. Never intentionally setting out that path, but it's the validation that what I've done is good, and I'm blessed to have received it, and very honored to have received it. So it's up there, and it's the one thing that my mother had always wanted me to do is get a degree. No matter how successful I was in business, every time I saw her, her comment was, "Hey, when are you going to get that degree? When are you going to get that degree?" And it's a real blessing and an honor to her as well. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Completely full circle moment. So that's awesome. And now within KSU, out of all the causes that you could support, and you do support many. I believe you support research, the athletics. What different ways are you involved in Kennesaw State today?
yeah, so fortunately, when I was on the Entrepreneurship Center, I got nominated and was approved to join them on as a trustee of the university.
Mm,
And sitting at a trustee level of the university allowed me to really see from about a 30,000-foot view of all the needs of the university as it continued to grow. And as I learned, I saw where their needs really were and opportunities were to support them as an entrepreneur, and just really as a supporter of KSU. Athletics was a huge area. As you know, we have a football team that had just started when I became a trustee. Now we're only 11 years old. So, think about the excitement around how do I get to support a football team that's just started out at the very beginning and equate that to Georgia or equate it to Georgia Tech. or any other big school, and being part of the evolution of that is just something that kind of parallels my journey and my business, right?
Mm.
Starting from scratch and helping build things that didn't exist in their day. So very exciting to be part of that. Research is kind of the same way on the academic side. I'm proud to sit in there. I think entrepreneurship, innovation is a crossroads to research, and that really excites me to sit in that seat too and see how really bringing just a different viewpoint to the research is a benefit to the university.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's amazing. And when you think about the college athletics just as a whole, what do you think people misunderstand about the value of collegiate sports?
Uh, well, the value of collegiate sports, it's really both academics and it's athletics. They really do go hand in hand.
Mm.
You can't have a great university necessarily without, really a great emphasis on athletics as well, because that's where students are. And if you're going to help students, and as KSU has a commitment, the student is the center of the universe, and you got to help all students. And so, extremely important. Of course, there's such a high value, marketing value to what athletics brings to a university. The football, basketball team winning championships this year, and our track and field team winning a championship this year. Those are amazing accomplishments and a lot of eyeballs on Kennesaw
Mhm.
State that went from this little junior college to a regional to a local university. Now it's getting national prominence, and that's really where we want to take it. We believe KSU is an exceptional university that has a lot to offer to students.
Yeah.
So athletics plays just a huge role in getting those eyeballs out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And I would say this probably has been last year is probably the best year for the university with winning the championship in football after having a not so good season the year before, and yeah, getting just extra awareness, extra attention to the university. And so with that, how are you guys internally being able to leverage this new awareness that the university is creating? What initiatives and programs are you all creating to support KSU athletics?
Sure. I'll answer that question in just a second. Remember the
Okay.
question so I don't forget it. But I want to
Gotcha.
step back a little bit
Yeah.
and give kudos to really at every level that KSU has been at. They've had championships,
Mm.
whether they've been FCS or now FBS. And, really, it's pretty amazing that without the resources that most universities have, that this university still has success. That's really a cultural thing for this university. They find ways to grow and build even when they don't have the resources to do it.
Mm.
So I do want to make that point. What
Yeah.
has transpired in growth, which is similar to the business, as you're growing, you run into obstacles, and sometimes those obstacles you got to get around them to continue to grow, and that's what the university and athletics has done. They took 2 years and stepped backwards after winning multiple championships. In fact, KSU is the fastest and it has the most wins in college athletics in their first 10 years with an athletic program.
Oh, wow.
So they've done an amazing job. Then they ran into a couple of years where they were 2-10, and then we bring in a new coach, and he turns around the program and turns it into a 10-2 program, and goes to the first bowl game in the history of the school and wins Conference USA. That's what this school is all about. That's what we like to show students, that they could achieve, that anything is possible. So athletics has just done a great role. Look, as far as athletics is concerned, the whole landscape of athletics has changed.
Yeah.
This revenue share has been a huge, difference. And I really call it now the business of athletics. And
Mm.
maybe why what gets me even more excited is the idea that, they do have to take a little different viewpoint of a university these days and run it more like a business than just an institution. And so the skill sets that I've learned over the years are more applicable than ever before in
Mm.
my eyes. So
Yeah.
try to bring that to the table and really help athletics in those areas. So I think that's where we're at today, and that's why we're working on so many different programs to help support. There's limited resources by university. I've learned that the university has some constraints with the state, being a state-owned operation. So there's things they can and
Mm.
cannot do to stay in compliance. So navigating these areas are important. And what we've tried to do is stay focused to the student as the center of the universe. And if that's the case, what can we do? What programs can we do to help? And because we're a mid-major and stepping up and hopefully one day be a Power Four, every dollar matters to what we raise for student athletes, right? If you know rev share, it's basically the revenue that is able to be generated and given to student athletes, whether it's through scholarships, actually through dollars, NIL, as most of us know it as, and other means. So these students actually are now getting income from the sports that they're playing. Of course, football being the biggest, basketball being the second biggest, baseball being the third biggest, but every sport is trying to get to this level where they're paying student athletes. So it's our goal was to find ways to help the university raise money for these student athletes with our limited resources that we do have, and that's what we've been putting together now.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Do you want to share what some of those projects look like and how people can support?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you asking on them. So we've had to be creative, with limited actual people resources in athletics. So we really needed to figure out ways that we could support it without taxing that environment first and foremost, because they're winning championships and they've got a lot of things on their plate and are staying extremely busy. So we wound up putting together, in conjunction with our athletic board, a group that is actually out there supporting the university. So there's about 20 people that have stepped up, all chairing different areas, that are all working on different initiatives. We settled on 3 initiatives that we have launched, one that's about to launch, and one that's getting approved to launch. So there's basically 5 programs that we pulled together. We have a concert, which is September 10th over at Governor's Gun Club. That's all a fundraiser. It's also going to have a auction involved with it, and so we're excited to be able to produce that. We hope to generate, some really nice income for our student athletes through that. Our second event is a 5K run, which is October 10th. Yeah, we're keeping them on the 10th of every month to make everybody remember the date. But that October 10th date is a great date in between games, football games, and no other track event going on around the city. So it turned out to be a great day. We have a great fast track, and it's the 5K race and also a walk. So we really wanted to cast a wide net for people to participate so they can come together, support obviously the university, hopefully meet some coaches and players along the way, and really get closer to the university and experience it. The third program is a trade-in program that's very unique. We're actually asking the community of all their old electronics, whether they're computers, laptops, cell phones, Fitbits, Apple Watches, anything of that nature, they can get online very simply. They could see the value of that trade-in value, and 100% of that trade-in value will go to KSU athletics directly to the athletes.
Wow.
And it's a kind of frictionless system. So you get a little QR code, and either UPS will come pick it up from you, or you carry it over to your UPS store and they'll ship it out just by scanning that QR code. So very simple, very easy, and allows people to support where they never thought they could. And the program that is about to launch is called Boost Partners, and that's where our Boost group actually has about 100 vendors that they represent, and they just meet with companies that we refer them to, and those companies have the choice of finding vendors that they need, and then Boost will work with them, and a percentage, typically about 3% on average, will go back to Kennesaw State athletes. And again, frictionless and seamless to be able to help the university out, and we see it as recurring revenue year over year.
Got you back. Yeah, I think that's incredible, and it speaks to just the creativity of the people that are on board, and also the initiative and the motivation, the inspiration to want to, like you said, be a part of a growing program. Right? If people just look at the growth of KSU over the last 5 years, even just thinking about how many students are enrolling year over year, is just constantly growing. right? And with that also just grows the overall culture of the university to where people are just way more excited to be a part of the university. They feel more pride when it comes to representing the university, and I think all of that feeds into the energy around athletics. Right.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Christian. I think there's one really important point that our community needs to always understand, and that is the students that come out of KSU are so important to our businesses and our community.
Mm.
There are thousands and thousands of employees that are at companies all around that help these companies do exactly what I did. Be able to build a company goes back to your first question. The employees are the hardest part. And
Yeah.
if we have good employees that are taught how to think and put in and doing the things that are right to make them really outstanding human beings and great employees, then KSU is benefiting our companies. And that's a
Mm.
huge piece that the community needs to understand. So not only are we supporting a university, there's certainly the benefit that comes back to each and every one of the owners of these companies in our community.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Is there any story of a student athlete or a coach that really captures why this mission of supporting KSU athletics matters?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of them, and I've had the good fortune of spending time with players. Right, that
Yeah.
to me, getting closer to the players was really, it's all about these student athletes. So if
Mm.
you're gonna have a chance to meet them and get to know them and know their stories, then there's a lot of compelling situations that happen. You hear about some of them you don't. But watching guys like Dexter Williams come in last year, he just had a baby. He became our starting quarterback.
Oh.
He faced some adversity that Amari Odom came in, who was his backup at the time, and wound up taking over that starting role. But yet, when he was called upon at a critical point where Amari got hurt in the middle of the season, he stepped up and had a 300-yard game and helped us win a game, which obviously led to us winning the conference championship.
Wow.
And just a humble, great guy. He was just a team player, and he learned so many lessons along the way. And he never lost and never got discouraged. He was always about winning and the team effort. It was great to see him develop and grow. And now he's on, I believe, to Tulsa, where he's playing out there. So that story is a real personal one. Or Christian Moss, who was a receiver who came from Virginia Tech. And Christian came here, and then the first question I asked him, I said, "Hey, what's the difference? What do you do?" He goes, I really, in all honesty, was getting burned out of football.
Mm.
Uh, it wasn't fun anymore.
Mm.
And now that I'm here at KSU last year, this is before the season even started. He goes, "I am having more fun than I have ever had." I said, "What a tribute to the coaches before, our brand new coach and coaching staff. And to see a kid turn around just with that little snippet meant the world to me, that these coaches knew what they were doing to affect these young men and make them great and be motivated to be the best they could be. And hence why you won a championship. It was probably directly around those two guys
All right.
to see that happen.
Yeah.
But we've got guys. Heck, we just had R.J. Johnson had a phenomenal
Mm. Yeah.
year. We won our championship in basketball,
Yeah.
and R.J. went on to Mississippi State, where they paid him millions of dollars. I don't know
Wow.
the exact number, but
Amazing.
man, there's nothing more proud. Even though he was the year I met him, he actually was hurt. He had a shoulder surgery and he couldn't play. And then last year he comes back, and he is amazing how great he turned into. And I couldn't be more proud, and neither could any of the coaching staff, to see him be able to go to Mississippi State and make this type of money. That means that the coaches are doing the right job, man. They've just turned this kid into a superstar, and there's nothing better.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. And so for right now, I know we have thousands and thousands of alumni from KSU. What would you say to them, to the alumni who love the university, but they've never thought about supporting the KSU athletics? What would you say to them?
You know, now's the time. Now's the time to get involved. We need you more than ever to stay connected. And there's a huge impact that you'll make. That every $10 and every dollar that is generated is meaningful and really helpful. And we know we have a young alumni group that are
Right.
just now starting to get into their prime. But realize that you can get connected now, and we want you to be connected. This is a community effort of of people that have been through KSU, and you have a chance to help change this university forever and make it what we know it can be, the greatest university, doing amazing things in both athletics and academics. So be a part of it, and this is the way to do it. So at every level.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. And now I want to kind of talk about some of the similarities between business and athletics. You spoke about it briefly throughout this conversation, but I want to ask you this: what qualities do great entrepreneurs and great athletes have in common?
Well, I think it's setting the vision of what you want and then staying determined to get there. You want to be the best athlete on the field, then it takes the work,
Mm,
and you got to stay committed to doing it. I haven't met a single student athlete that wanted to be the best that wasn't the hardest working guy on the team,
mm,
and just relentless, right? And committed to the goal. And that's the same thing, we do in business. We have a vision and we stay committed, and we overcome every obstacle that we face to get to that goal. So exact similarities in my eyes
yeah.
of wanting to be the best.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think that relates very well with the title of this podcast, Burn the Ship, which means just going all in on your vision, on your direction. And I can see that similarity as well with business and athletics. But for you in your life, tell me about a moment where you had to go all in. What did it cost you? And then what did it teach you?
Oh gosh, I have had many of those experiences, Christian,
I bet.
as you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I have at the very beginning, that's the all-in moment. I had about $6,000 to my name, 21 years old, and I took every dollar I had, bought inventory, and started my company with it. I was all in, and I just was determined to make it, and did. I had an opportunity in 1999 to buy my flooring supplier. I was all in. I wound up acquiring them and turned that into, a 30, $40 million business. Um, I wound up doing things that people thought were crazy in 2008 and 9 when the economy was tanking. I started a fabrication group and started growing, and so I was all in, right? So I've done this many times in my career, but they're calculated risks, and I think that's the important part. It's just not blind, and you don't go all in for the sake of all in. But if you believe in your vision of what you're doing, then it's going to be a grind to get there, and it's worth every ounce of energy you put into it to becoming what you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so good. And yeah, I know personally throughout your 43-year career, there have been a lot of those moments. And I think that's a lesson for those listening as well. It's not just one moment where you have to go all in. It's a decision that you make again and again and again. Right.
That's right. You get better at it, but I will tell you, even at the end, when you
Mm,
decide that it's time to sell, that is probably the largest all-in moment you could ever do, because either you win or you lose, right? You don't sell or you sell, and that's it's not easy to get to the end zone.
yeah.
And so that probably is the last all-in moment. And when you do succeed, it's amazing. It's really a little bit of euphoric. It's validation of everything you've done in your entire career, or in the sense of growing the business, that was the goal you hit, and you can validate it. So that's an all-in moment for sure, and a big one at that.
Yeah. No, that's so good. Um, so if you can give advice, if you give one piece of advice to an entrepreneur, or let's say even an athlete who's close to giving up, what would you tell them?
The first thing is to stay committed to your goal. Never give up. That's number one. For me, that's the driving force behind really achieving it. If you've got the vision and you're making progress, but it's hard, it's going to be hard, but just battle through it. And don't give up on the vision if you believe in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. What's something that you're still learning even today as a leader?
Oh gosh, I learn every single day, right? That's for sure.
Yeah.
I learn from the young generation. I gotta stay fresh and keep learning.
Yeah.
I certainly learn a tremendous amount post sale because I'm dealing with PE firms and investment
Mm,
bankers and a different level of financial advisors and investors.
mm,
It's a whole nother world. So interestingly enough, I learn every single day
yeah.
and enjoy that equally as much as building the business. And I also learn about people, right? I learn a lot about what really motivates people, and I love helping people achieve what they want to do. But I've learned a lot about that as well,
Mm,
and not always is it right to help folks that don't want to help themselves. So
mm.
that's a lesson that I keep learning as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. So if everyone listening, if they can only remember one thing from this conversation that we're having, what do you hope that is?
The one thing I would tell you that I hope you will always remember is that age is no criteria for success or for failure. I don't care how old you are. I just shared I started at 21. I encourage people to start as young as possible and learn how to be a great entrepreneur in your early days. But it doesn't matter whether you're 21 or you're 51 or 71. You can start a business, become an entrepreneur at any age. If you got the same traits that I just shared, you can go do it and make it happen.
That's so good. I love that. Age is no criteria for success. And so the last question I want to ask you, maybe, is what what legacy do you hope to leave at Kennesaw State, say over the next 10 to 20 years?
That's a great question, Christian. I never set out to really think about my legacy,
Mm,
and and as you have asked the question, I have, and I don't say this often, but I have elected to name the football field at Kennesaw State.
wow.
Um, and in my career, there's a lot of points. I've helped my association raise millions of dollars. Obviously, I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of my employees reach success in their world. Um, I think the legacy piece became important after the fact, but not as a legacy for me that I care to see my name anywhere. But I hope it's a reminder of the story you just heard to inspire these young kids to know that anybody could achieve success. If someone like me, who went to college for 3 weeks and came from a very challenging family, lost my father when I was 16 and he was 47, look, that adversity affected me. I hope it's a reminder when they see that name on the football field that anybody could achieve success if you want it bad enough and you're willing to work hard for it.
Amazing. So well said, Dave. I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing for in my life personally, but also for the university and for all of those who are just walking in the path of going after something that they believe in, a vision, a dream, and just fighting every day to make that dream happen. So thank you.
I appreciate that, Christian, and I couldn't be more proud of you to see everything you've done and achieved and still working at it every day. So
That's
keep
it.
up the great work.
That's it.
And I'm always here for you, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Dave. So thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of Burn the Ship. Make sure to reach out to Dave on LinkedIn. Find him on. How else can they find you, Dave?
My email is easy one. It's dave.walens@gmail.com.
Amazing.
And I think those are probably the best ways to do it.
Okay.
I do have a few websites, but those are those those are the best ways to go about reaching me.
1,000%. And then last thing, if someone is inspired by your story and they do want to support KSU athletics today, what's the easiest first step?
Uh, the easiest first step is go to the website soarwiththeowls.com. This is our new website that has all the programs I just shared with you.
Nice.
You can go on there and make any level of contribution to support any of the programs we're doing. Um, and that'd be a great first place to start. Of course, email me, and if you got any questions about it, I'd be glad to kind of navigate and help you navigate where you can best support the university.
Amazing, amazing. We're super excited for all the things that are happening within the university. So, Dave, thank you again. Thank you for everyone watching another episode of Burn the Ship, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.